Hey family, we are live, broadcasting live. This is the Conversation Room 101. Make sure it's only adults in the house. I need your mind to be open, prepared, and relaxed. Welcome to our home. Take your shoes off. We got some rules we need to go over. Be kind. No cursing in the chat. If you want to curse, call in. And no shouting out other channels. That's a no-no. We got one other rule. There is no judging our guests. It will not be permitted. Zero tolerance. And if so, you want to do that, guess what? We got security. And we will escort you out. Because over here, hashtag we don't care. We're going to be one big family. We're going to laugh together sometimes. We're going to cry. But we definitely going to pray. I thank the Lord above for everything. I lift him up and give him the glory. But you guys, right now, we're going to get our popcorn. And then we're going to see what's going on. And let me just park my car. And I'll be in there in a minute. I'll see you soon.
The Copyright Disclaimer Act. The Copyright Disclaimer Act under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news, reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Niggas playing hard, but he really soft. Prophet got shot, take got.
Like, share, subscribe.
Do you want to know? Well, I've been thinking about you. And I think I have to listen. Because the sun is up, it's a beautiful day.
We won't stop. We will not stop.
Sun. Come, won't you come along? And it feels so right. It's like luck is raining on me. Go and follow your heart. Doesn't matter how far. There is so much love to give. Something's telling me this time. Baby, baby, now
See this?
go.
How you cannot go
Baby,
again?
baby, gotta go. There is so much love to give. Something's telling me it's right.
Neighbors and the
When you
community
came to me,
compelled to
who are
scour
you?
the area.
It's you, yeah, boy.
Where does the fault lie on you?
Hey family, how's everybody doing? Come on in the chat, you guys. Let's just chit chat for a minute. I like to see you guys in the building. Thank you guys for showing up. You gotta say something though. You can't just block, 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 block. But anyway, you guys, it doesn't even feel like a Monday, but today is February the 23rd, 2026. For some reason, I feel like today's going to be a really good day. I don't know. It's like, it's almost kind of like you can just feel it in the atmosphere. Like some things be trying to come the wrong way, and you just be like, okay, well, people look at you strange. I want to just go off. And then they just kind of, let me just chill or shut up or let's get this cracking. That's what I'm talking about. So anyway, you guys, we're going to talk about the Jarvis, and because we got until March the 12th. Yeah, we got until March the 12th. So Jarvis has pleaded guilty to not only the Red Room of Naziah, but also messing around with 4 or 5 other little girls, including his own daughter. Man, I don't even know what they call that. You guys come in and greet somebody, you know. I'm like, I don't know who's in the building. My dog always when he knows I'm coming on live, he wants to bark. Ain't nothing going on. He just want to go outside. Go find somebody. I told Diesel still doing training, but thank you, Lordy. Thank you for saying something. Blessings to you. You know, people come in here and they don't even say hi. They just you know what I mean? And this is interaction, little conversation that we're having. Okay, now what? Now what, Jarvis? Now what? Jarvis has pleaded. I'm going to share this video with you guys. I had quit doing so much sharing the video, but I don't think, like, sometimes there's some people that don't see the news and they just get everything from YouTube, you know, and I don't see nothing wrong with that. It's just because now people are starting to realize that, yeah, there might be some not so true news or more of a person's opinion, and that's fine too, you know, that's fine. But sometimes we got to watch it together. The family, I'm gonna say this, you guys. I'm gonna say this because I just wanted to chit chat about this a little bit, because we know when this went on, nobody didn't think Jarvis was gonna say anything. They thought he's just gonna take it to the grave, and I'm not saying he's not gonna do that. I believe he's gonna take it to the grave with him. And that's what we were going to talk about, you know, like, you know, why would he now he looking at 35 years to life in prison. Why would he tell the truth? I mean, what does he has to gain? He's one of those type of guys that, unless he's going to get something out of it, you know, he might as well just don't even say nothing. But is it somebody got to him and he feels like, you know, let me just go ahead and tell the truth. You know, like sometimes, you know, the Lord steps in and you have a conscience. Do we have a conscience? Spicy's in the building. Hey, Spicy, how you doing? Thank you for showing up. Glad you can come. Spicy says, I do too. I don't think he's gonna tell. You know what, Spicy? I don't think he's gonna tell either. I think he's gonna give us a story. I was talking to a friend of mine. He's an African and he's in the United States. He's been here for a while, him and his wife. He's a nurse, RN, and he actually trained me on the job that I'm working. He trained me in. And we wasn't talking about this case, but we were talking about, you know, the world and what's happening and what's going on. He's very oriented Christian. And, you know, some of those Africans, when I say they're Christians, they got the United States beat when it comes to, you know, how they actually believe in Christ, the Lord, and our Savior. I mean, he's just so, when he talks, and I think, you know, like, I mean, he's on one street. He's on one street. He just wants to serve the Lord. He just wants to be in his presence. He just wants to, you know, and I know everybody, dirty, they sin and da 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 da. But anyway, we were talking and he said something to me that I mean, I already know, I already realized, but when other people can see something that you haven't even said, but it's been on your mind, it's almost like it's confirmation. Just my opinion, the whole inner and outer family feel Nazaya in every way. All want detached themselves from accountability or responsibility for the suffering and abuse allegations that poor baby girl endured. Exactly, Lottie. Lottie, 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 Lottie. I'm going to tell you, and this goes to say what we were talking about. Like, got something in my throat and I ain't got no cough drops or nothing. Let me see. I can spit it out. Spit it out. Anyway, I'm sorry, you guys. He was saying something that I've always thought about. And that is that people really do not want to know the truth. And I thought that for a long time. I'm like, like the next best lie. If you can give them the next best, she said, drink some water. I don't have no water over here, girl. I don't have no water, Spicy. Hey, Lisa Taylor, how you doing? Good afternoon to you. I got a little sun-kissed soda here. Some Crush, orange soda. But anyway, people want to know the next best lie. Like if you just tell them just a bald-faced lie, like, I don't know, I was drunk or whatever. I wasn't there, knowing that they got you on TV or got you on camera. Okay, I think I got it, you guys. Yeah, it felt like it just came on up. Sorry. But yeah, it was just stuck in my throat. But yes. The next best lie. You guys, say that. Put that in your noggin. Have you ever been in a situation where you wanted to tell the truth? But if you told the truth, you're in worse situation. You get in more trouble. Like when mama, when you was a kid, if you got spankings, some people didn't get spankings. I got maybe a couple. When I say a couple, I only got like maybe 2 or 3 spankings in my life. I really wasn't a bad kid. My mother thought I was a bad kid. My teacher, when I got married, I met my husband's family. He took me to this family gathering. It was somebody's birthday. I think it was his aunt's birthday or whatever. And it so happened I met his mother that day. I think I had already met her, but and she invited all her friends and it's I can't remember who all was there, but when I looked at the table of the older women, there was a woman there that I knew that was older, and it was my second grade teacher, and her name was Mrs. Johnson, and she looked just like she did when I was in elementary. So I went over to Miss Johnson, and I hugged her and she knew who I was. I knew who she was. I hadn't seen her since the second grade. And I'm pretty sure she was really friends with my husband's mom. So, my husband's mother wanted to know all about me because, this is a small town. It's not really, really small, to be honest with you. Wichita is the biggest town, city in Kansas. Everybody think it's Kansas City, but no, it's not. I mean, we have held it down over here. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying, it's a lot that goes with little big towns. But I mean, it's not big like, it's not corrupted and big like New York and Detroit and Chicago. I mean, but we're up there. You know what I'm saying? Kansas City, you know, for it to be smaller than Wichita and all the stuff that goes on in Kansas City, I'm saying Wichita has became really I'm not out there in the world like that, but I can tell you guys that when I didn't think it was bad. I mean, once you in something, you just don't know. But anyway, I was telling you guys that my second grade teacher was there and we hugged and everything. And she was saying, she was telling my husband, she was like, "Oh yeah, I remember she was like 6, 7 years old. At 6, 7 years old, that's when I was in the second grade." And she was like, "Oh, she was a fighter. Oh, she was bad. I mean, she was always in trouble." And I just looked at her. I'm serious. You'd be surprised what people think of you. I just looked at her because I only got in one fight at school, and it was with my best friend. Me and my best friend, we fought. And we didn't fight. We fought. We fought. We fought like cats and dogs, but we were best of friends. And I think the only reason why we actually had a fight, I mean a physical fight, was we were best friends and we had a third best friend. So it was three of us that was all best friends. I was a little jealous. She was a little jealous. And so, like, her and I live close together. We live one block from each other. And the other girl that was our best friend, her name was Paula. And the other girl that was a best friend, her name was Cheryl. Cheryl lived close to the school and would walk to the school. Paula and I caught the bus. But when you have a friendship and there's three, sometimes you get a little jealous when the other person spends time with the other person more than you. Now, and I'm going to say this, you guys, I've never denied my jealousy of the friendship, because I felt like an outcast. And I'm going to tell you why. Even though Paula and I, we did a lot more things together because we lived close together. So we rode the bus together. We got off the bus. We did our homework. She would come over to my house. I would come over to her house. And I mean, we would walk to the store together. After school, we would sit on the curb and chit chat and talk, do homework. But I mean, we went through all our elementary all together, all three of us. And I didn't go to the same high school that they went to because, like I said, you guys, I was in and out, in and out, in and out of town because of my situation at home. But at the same time, Paula and I was closer than Cheryl. But I think, hey Zena, how you doing? Hey Krista, what's going on? I see you in the building. I now know, well, I knew back then, I'm just going to be honest with you. I knew back then I was a little jealous of, their friendship. And it wasn't because they spent more time together or she liked her more. I felt like she did like Cheryl more. Paula liked Cheryl more. And the reason behind that is because Cheryl and Paula was smarter than me. Yeah, I'm just being honest with you guys. Cheryl and Paula was smart. I wasn't that smart in school in elementary. I wasn't. I struggled. I felt like, I mean, I didn't have a family to tell me to study with me, you know. uh Come home. I never studied, you know. I didn't know I mean, would a child be like, I'm gonna go home and try to learn how to spell these words? I didn't know how to make myself study. And no one didn't, there was no one to say, sit down, let's go over these words now, how to spell this. And okay, let's go over this word. And this comes before that. And how to spell insurance, or how to spell action, and how to spell discover and capital, and, you know, tree and service, and, you know, tech and all this other stuff, early, and your days of the week. You know, I didn't have no one to sit down and say, come on, let's study. Now Sunday is spelled S-U-N, remember that, S-U-N. You know, I didn't have nobody to help me study. But maybe these girls did, or maybe it came to them easier. But I'm just saying, I knew for a fact that both of them was on the same level as far as smart, and I struggled. So I was jealous of that. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I was jealous of it. And Paula and I had a little fist fight. And we knew what we was fighting about. And we got a spanking too. Back then, you know, the principal, his name was Principal Welch. He done passed away. He spanked us. Yeah, back then they take that pedal and they give you a spanking. Pow. And you go back to class like, oh my God, like your parents wasn't the only ones that would spank you. The principal spanked us. Nowadays, they call that abuse. But anyway, back to what we was talking about. It's funny how time passes. You think that you're gonna be young your whole life, and then you wake up, and it's funny how when you're talking about situations in your life, how things have changed, that now you're sounding like an old person because the kids, ain't no way in the world a principal was going to spank a child. Spank a child if you want to. I guarantee you going to jail. You're going to jail. You're going to jail if you lay a hand on that child. But anyway, back then, like I said, we got a spanking for fighting or whatever. But nevertheless, what I was talking about was you want to tell the truth, but you'll get in more trouble. And you get home and mama say, oh, you at school fighting. You at school fighting. I'm going to give you something to fight about. You want to be at school fighting. And like I said, other people, they think you was, and like I said, that's the only, I mean, I had another fight when I was in junior high. That was my fault. I was playing around, playing with somebody, and they didn't want to play, and I was continuing to play, and then the girl was like, like, we're going to fight. So I had to give her the one, too. There was never been it's never been a fight that I lost, It's just, I've only had maybe 3-4 fights in my life, and I won them all. And then after that, I fought a girl outside of school, big girl, and then and I fought a guy, and my daughter's dad, and then a boyfriend. I fought him. That's it. And I just told you guys, I'm a little bitty package, but yeah, I ain't lost one yet. But I don't try to fight or anything. But my teacher said, like I said, she was second grade teacher. She was like, oh yeah, she was a fighter. Da, 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 da. And I'm thinking to myself, where the heck she get that from? I just look at her. I was like, she died last year. She died last year, you guys, just a couple of months ago. And I didn't go to the funeral. It wasn't because I didn't hate. Yeah, I just don't really go to funerals like that unless I'm really, 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 really close. Like, it's got to be in my immediate circle. Like, his mom, his sister, his aunt, something like that. My family, brothers, cousins, uh, you know, uh, my mentor, pastor, she died a couple of months ago. Also, I went to her funeral because she mentored me for like maybe 3 years in the church. She was the pastor. Plus, I could call her. I love that I can call her and ask her questions. Like, hey, why is this? Why is that? Anyway, nevertheless, we were talking about how people do not want to know the truth. Okay, so I find myself in my life sometimes not telling the truth because I know, and this is what I was telling my friend at work, I know that you don't want to hear the truth. When I tell people the truth, they don't want to hear the truth. I already know. You can't tell me nothing. I already know the truth. You were doing this, you were doing that. And I wasn't. But I'm not going to argue with you because in your heart you really believe what you believe. And that's not the truth. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and I'm going to share this with you guys. It hasn't been long ago. It's maybe 3 months ago. I got into a little altercation. It wasn't really an altercation. I was conversating with someone and they were a really close friend, I thought. And they assumed I was saying something that I wasn't. And I was like, no. And they was like, yeah, you was. And I was like, no, I wasn't. You can't tell me. I know. And I thought to myself, it hurt me because what they were saying, I was saying I wasn't. But that's what they thought of me. Now, I could have lied and said, yeah, I'm sorry. And they would have felt better. But I stood on the truth. You guys understand what I'm saying? Hey, Monique, how you doing? I stood on the truth and just said, that's not what I was saying. You got it wrong. Do you not know that friendship ended? I think about that. Now, like I said, I wanted to keep the friendship, but I stood on the truth and the friendship ended. Anyway, it's very hurtful. And it's nothing I could say because that person thought what they thought. So I'm thinking, Jarvis, yeah. They thought what they thought. And that makes me think they thought bad of me. It's very hurtful. So I'm thinking when Jarvis go to court, Jarvis is going to tell us what we think. You guys, let me share this video of this. It's only but 1:42. Here we go.
Well, Jarvis Butts' guilty plea in the murder of Neziah Harris comes with a condition that will likely answer one of the biggest questions in this case, an honest admission about what happened to her body that was never found. Jarvis Butts agreed to a sentence between 35 and 60 years in prison for the second-degree murder charge in the Neziah Harris case, but one of her biggest advocates says closure will only come once she knows what truly happened to her body.
I don't think the full relief will get there until we actually have her.
Investigators found the clothes and shoes Neziah was last seen wearing during a River Rouge search near 7 Mile in Berg shortly after she went missing back in January of 2024. However, they have still yet to find her body.
I'm happy that he is finally willing to able to tell where she is. I'm also very happy that the rest of the victims that he has victimized are also getting justice.
Butts pled guilty to sex crimes against 4 other minors, all younger than 13 when they happened, one as young as 4, and one his own daughter. He agreed to serve 10 to 15 years for each of those charges, all at the same time he serves the sentence for what he did to Neziah.
We all want her to be found, not only myself, but as a community. We just wanted her to be found, and today we're closer to that.
And Butts' sentencing is scheduled a month away, March 12th at noon, right back here at the 3rd Circuit Courthouse, where we'll be waiting for an answer to what exactly happened to Neziah Harris's body. For now, reporting live in Detroit, I'm Jack Springate, CBS News.
Okay. So we're going to wait. We're going to wait till March the 12th come, and he's going to share his story with us, whatever story that is. It was an accident. We got into an altercation. She drunk some whatever. I don't know. He's going to tell us something, whether he tells us the truth or not the truth, But here's the thing, is that, before this situation came to this, only thing we wanted, actually, in all reality, we wanted him to, because like I said, you couldn't tell us nothing. We know you did it. And I wasn't there, but we know you did something to her. We know you did, right? And you couldn't tell us nothing. Okay, well, he did. He did do something. And you need to tell us. You need to tell us you did this. That's what we wanted. When they locked him up, just tell us you did this. Well, now he told us. Now we're like, okay, well, we're not going to get closure now, because now we need to know where she's at. Because this is not just, we're not going to get closure because we need to know where she's at. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Whatever he says, you're going to be so mad that whatever he says, you're not going to believe what he says, because he has a lot to lose if he told the truth. He might pick up other charges. You know what I mean? So, anyway, I feel sorry for the family of both sides, because he's got a sister and he's got a brother that he's really close with. Well, not really close, but they grew up, they're almost close to the same age. They were in and out in the house, and they have love for one another. They had to survive. They had a hard life too, And so and now, the brother is out there speaking bad about his brother, and people can't believe someone close to them has done something of this nature. It's crazy. Doesn't he say how, what, or where he did it? This is not justice for Neziah. It's an injustice to her memory. Well, yeah, he's got to give some kind of accountability that he did do it and how he did it. It'll be his story. It will be his story. But I mean, once a person has done something of this nature, I mean, they can tell their story. Just like Jake, when we seen him on the side of the highway and the police, Jake and Rebecca, looking for Emmanuel in California, I already knew that he had already said something and told, because where they had him and they just hadn't put it out there yet. But anyway, Um, and he didn't try to help them really look for Emmanuel. He stood there like they went to in an enclosed area. They had him, and he got out the van, and he stood there, and they had the dogs, and they had people searching, and they were talking to him, and he just stood there. And he stood there for maybe about 3 to 5 minutes, and then they marched him back to the vehicle. So, see what I'm saying? So he told them his truth. You know what I mean? But did they find Emmanuel? No, they didn't find Emmanuel. They charged Jake, and Rebecca still has to go to court. But nevertheless, you guys, let me tell you, he told them his story. Now, the one thing about it is, let me look and see. I think his name was Jake Harrow. Jake Harrow court telling his story about Emmanuel. So it says, he destroyed my family, the grandmother said, November the 5th. Jake sentence, he pleaded guilty to all charges in October. He admitted murdering his son. Let me see. He was sentenced to 30 years. It says he was sentenced to 30, then more than 30. Then it says missing baby. November the 3rd, the same day, he was sentenced to 25. But did Jake Harrow tell where the baby was? He was crying. We never did hear. You know what I'm saying? I'm just letting you guys know. We never did hear what happened to Emmanuel. You know, we never did. I'm just saying. All cases are different. We may hear something. We may hear something, but it don't have to be. Yeah, Jake pleaded guilty and got a deal. You didn't know that? It says right here, he pleaded guilty. Yeah, you're right, Jennifer. But I think when we already come into the end of this and they know what he can be charged with, yeah, the judge has the final say so. The judge could say, I'm not accepting this plea. But more than likely, they've already made a deal. I'm going through something with the courts right now, and I'm like, okay, let's go to court. Well, my attorney is like, oh, we don't have to go to court. I'm like, what do you mean? I want to get in front of the judge and tell the judge this. She was like, you want to litigate, da 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 da. She was like, that's just going to cost more money. Let me tell you something. So I'm wondering, how do you know what the judge is going to say? because they've already talked to the judge. And they already know the judge is going to say this or say that, or you know what I'm saying? The judge is not blindsided. Oh, we've just now come into court and he wants to plead guilty, and the judge is like, oh, really? He wants to plead guilty. Before they get to court, the judge already know he wants to plead guilty, and the prosecutors are satisfied with his answer and has agreed that we don't have to spend no more money, and we got a conviction, and that settles that, you guys. The rest of it is going to be more like, okay, the judge could say, and it's more than likely the judge is not going to say, I don't accept this. He's going to accept it. Because you got to think, the prosecutors are saying, we got him to agree to pleading guilty that he done it, so now he can be sentenced. You got to remember the reason why you're in court and he's in jail. He's not it. You cannot beat a horse. Some people say you can't lead a horse to water. You can't beat a horse to water. You can't. That's just not the American way. You guys understand what I'm saying? So the judge already know. The prosecutors done talked to him with the defense there, and is saying, look here, we done came to an agreement, and our agreement is if he pleads guilty, and he has, and he told us his story, which is a possibility, then we agreed that he can get 35 years to life. And so we agreed on that. So he said, okay. You guys understand what I'm saying? You got to think it out. If they already just like right now, I'm going through some stuff. Without court, the attorney over there and my attorney can sit there and say, well, my client wants this and my client wants that. You come to an agreement. Well, I want this. And if I get that, okay, we agreed. The judge is there to, now that you guys agreed, to make sure it is a legal agreement and it ain't just my word against your word or my word against the attorney and we got it all mixed up and blah, 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 blah. The judge is there to say, okay, prosecutors, you guys agreed that if he pleaded guilty and he told you a reasonable way of what happened, you guys say you'll give him 35 to life. And so he shared it with you already. And so, yeah, they can add more time or less time to the situation. But the judge is not going to say, no, I'm not going to accept this. Did you guys hear what I said? So, Jennifer, your questions, it's not even a question. Jennifer, you said, fingers crossed the judge don't accept this plea. Okay. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying it's more likely the judge is going to accept it because both sides agreed. You know what I'm saying? He may not agree on how much time, but when you plead guilty, you plead guilty. You guys understand what I'm saying? I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm just trying to make it understandable. Like let me try to, I always AI this stuff. Can a judge disagree to a plea agreement?
Yes, the judge can reject a plea agreement. They must approve these deals to make sure they are fair and just, and that the defendant entered into them willingly.
Okay. Now, y'all hear that, okay? So, the answer to Jennifer's question, she said, finger crossed, the judge don't accept this plea. Nobody. Yes, absolutely. The judge can accept or disagree with a plea agreement. It may be he's not disagreeing, saying this, that, and the other, but you think the judge is going to say, we're not going to accept the plea agreement unless we have a body. Do you believe the judge is going to do something of that nature? Come on, let's be realistic. I want you guys to know, because we get into our emotions and not into understanding law, facts, and the reason behind things. Okay? So, like I said, the judge can go, 35 years is not enough. We're gonna give him life. But at the same time, you still don't have Neziah. You guys understand what I'm saying? So the key reasons why a judge will reject. It says a judge may reject a deal if they feel the sentence is too light, the charges do not fit the crime, or they believe the defendant did not fully understand the consequences. Consequences of rejections. If a judge rejects a plea, the case usually goes back to the negotiation stage, or it proceeds to a trial. See, the only thing he can get is more time. Zena says, from what I understand, the plea deal has already been accepted. We are only waiting on the sentence. Exactly. Zena, come on. The plea deal between the prosecutor and the defendant has already been accepted. But the judge can say, well, yeah, you guys did agree for him that all the other charges run concurrent, but I don't like that. I want him to run consecutive. The judge can say that. That's too light. But pretty much the judge, with the recommendations out there, the judge normally goes with it. He normally does, unless something was unfair. Rejections are rare. Let me read this to you guys. Rejections are rare, sometimes estimated to be as low as 0.0001%. Okay? As judges typically defer to the prosecutor's judgment. Did you get what you want? Because at the end of the day, the prosecutor says, we got what we needed, or we got what we felt is fair. Like, we got this person off the street. We got this person to say what they did. And we already know we're not going to get the whole truth. So, if we can keep them off the street, that was our whole goal. If a plea is rejected, the case usually returns to its plea status for negotiation or for full trial. That settles that. I'll read this last little thing from Reddit. Those of you who work in criminal law, roughly how often do you see a judge reject a plea deal that the defense and the prosecutions have agreed on. As a victim in a case year ago, I was not okay with the plea deal that was offered to the defendant, but the prosecutor, defense attorney, and defendant were all okay with the deal. Looking back, the deal wasn't a terrible deal, and the reason for it made sense, but the judge surprised us all by rejecting it. The prosecutor at the time didn't even tell me the judge rejected it could happen. That's how sure everyone seemed to be that it would be accepted. The judge retired at the end of that year, roughly 2 weeks later. I'm wondering if judges reject plea deals is more common than I realized, and the prosecutor should have mentioned that could happen, or is it fairly rare and potentially he did it because he could tell it was I wanted and he was already on his way out and wouldn't have to worry about any negative effect from the rejection. Okay, somebody was saying it. It's very rare to reject the deal. There are many reasons why a judge may do it. They may feel the plea is too lenient or too harsh, not in the best interest of society, is against the alleged victim wishes. Like if he thinks that the family can't get no closure out of this, I mean, what closure do you want? Now, once he said, I did this, I not only did this to this child, which, I did the red room, but I did stuff to the other ones. You know what? I'm guilty. They say, okay. Now, we heard of somehow the plea deal. In the case with King, and I don't know if you guys remember the King deal, he was in Philadelphia. I think he was in Philadelphia. No, King. Yeah, I think King was in Philadelphia. But anyway, yeah, King was in Philadelphia, where the babysitter off the child because he wet his pants or whatever. In that, she held on till she was not guilty. She not guilty. The mama had the baby and the mama had the baby and this, that, and the other and all this other stuff. Finally, when she finally said, okay, I'm guilty. And she had to tell what she did. She told what she did. And she wanted some leniency. I remember the judge said something to the fact, was it, that she had all this time to tell the truth. Because she cost, the community and the state and a lot of money. She had all the time. So the deal wasn't rejected. They went along with the deal. But, the defense always say, Your Honor, can you have some mercy or leniency on my client here? They were, they did not know that they need to take medication. They have a problem. They need to seek help. They learn, or they remorseful of their, such and such, such and such. The judge said, not saying the judge didn't take the deal. The judge took the deal. But the judge said, no, I'm not going to feel like to give this person less time because this, that, and the other. But as far as the deal, they said it's 0.0001%. The judge rejects the deal. On March the 12th, 2026, just my opinion, Jarvis got a statement that goes stun everybody. He knows the full script in real life. He ain't going down alone. Okay, Lottie. I believe that's okay. Now, we can agree, Lottie, we can agree to kind of disagree. I think Jarvis is going to take this hit by himself. I don't think he's going to drag anybody down with him. I just don't believe that. And I'm going to tell you the reason why. She says, okay, so why Kim Worthy not jumping on that press conference podium, patting herself on the back, something not ringing right? And nobody deny he is a freak monster. He need to go under the jail for life. Plea deal, yes. However, they give deals to Annette Shannon King to give evidence against Jarvis. Why? No trial. Deals off. I believe he's going to be singing Shannon next. Oh, Jennifer says she believes he's going to be singing. Oh, okay. I love to hear what you guys got to say. I really do. I love to hear what you guys think. Okay. Remember, Jennifer says, I believe he's going to be singing Shannon next. I just told you guys my opinion. Jennifer says she just told you her opinion. Anybody else? I say, now, what, Jarvis? What you going to tell us? You going to tell us Shannon? Nope. You going to tell us King? Nope. You going to tell us, has something to do with the Red Jack? Nope. Jarvis is going to do this all. The more people he tries to put in there, guess what? They got stuff on Jarvis that will lock him up 2-3 lifetimes. So that's why I believe he's going to just tell us he did this all on his own. Which you guys, like I said, sometimes when people believe what they believe, you can't tell them nothing. I believe somebody had to help him, but he's not going to do that. Normally, just like Jake, we know good and well, we believe in our heart, Rebecca, if she would come up with a elaborated lie with Jake talking about she went to Big Five and somebody said hola and da-da-da-da-da. Now, Jake done came out and Jake done said, okay, no, I'm guilty. That means Rebecca and him first collaborated a lie together, and now Jake decided, I'm just going to tell the truth and get it over with. I don't know what she going to do, but I'm not going to tell him everything because, or maybe Rebecca just don't know where the baby is. But Rebecca is like, no, somebody still hit me in the head and took my baby. Now, wait a minute here. You and your husband decided to make a story that you guys was at this football field. You decided to go to the Big Five down the street to get a mouthpiece for another child. You put the baby in the car, strapped in the car seat, go to Big Five, and you get out the car and you're unstrapping the baby from the car seat, and somebody hit you in the head. They said hola, and then everything went black. And you ran around this big building, and then you ran into Big Five and got the manager and said, did y'all see somebody hit me and took my baby? Police get there. You made this whole story up. Your husband get there, and he was like, I was not even around. I was still at the football field. That was rewinding it. Now Jake says, no, I plead guilty. I took the child out. Rebecca is in court saying, no, somebody hit me in the head and took the baby, and I'm standing on it. Ma'am, wake up. If your husband said he took the baby out, Jarvis is going to be the same way. Anybody that has something to do with this, you guys, that's why I believe he's going to take the whole rap. Because 99.9% of myself believe that he is the reason and the cause behind it. And he should. Now, yeah, should other people be accountable for the things that they didn't do right? Like, you mean, how would you sit in someone because their mothering skills wasn't appropriate? How? You say, well, when the baby came up missing, you guys didn't even go out looking for her. When there were situations at the birthday party, you guys didn't even speak on it. You guys was given, there's not a charge you can give somebody because they gave somebody their cell phone and she was using it talking to the boy, or they was at a party and the kids said this and they did a little, they talked to the kids or something, told them to shut up. No, I'm just telling you the truth. Or we don't want to hear it. Or they lying, they lying, they lying. Them kids lying. All of them lying. No, because you don't want to believe what they said about this man. There's no charge, you guys. There's no charge for being a bad aunt, being a bad mother. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying Shannon didn't have anything to do with it. But yes, Jacqueline says something, and I'm going to put it up here. I haven't even read it yet, but I believe it's going to say something of what I agree with. If she does not get caught up to go to jail, which I don't believe she is, Shannon Carmen will get her back. I believe that. I hate to say it. One of her childs will have to go through some horrible stuff for what happened. I believe that, Jacqueline. It's funny because only thing I had read was karma. So I knew, and that's not just so that we can sleep good. I do believe in karma. I believe that, she's gonna get back. I mean, but it's kind of like King Solomon, America, not King Solomon, but King David and Sheba. He went out of his way to, it's a parable, but he went out of his way to he fell in love with Sheba, looking at her when he was not supposed to, and sent her husband into war so he can have relationships with her. He had relationships with her while her husband was out fighting. And so Sheba ended up pregnant. And so she comes and tell the king that King David, oh, I'm pregnant. Well, he was in love with her. He wanted that baby. And it's kind of strange because he was like, okay, I'll bring your husband back and you lay with him. Hurry up when he comes home, lay with him. I don't know what the conversation was like, but cook him what he likes and put on your nice such and lay with your husband. Because if she would not have laid with her husband, then he'll be like, how are you pregnant? I've been gone for a year. I haven't touched you. How is you pregnant? No. So the king was like deceptive, wanted this man to think that the child was his. But the man was so dedicated into what he was doing in his country and fighting and everything. When he got home, he felt like, I'm not only a soldier, I'm an officer, and my man is out there fighting, and here I am at home in my nice home, eating, drinking. I can't do this. I feel less than a man. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to go in my house and lay with my wife. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside and lay down outside. Because my man is out there fighting and I'm supposed to enjoy life. No. And so the king found out he didn't go lay with his wife. So how he's going to know that this baby's not his? So the king is still thinking, okay, I got to cover this up. I got to cover this big lie up, because this baby come out, everybody going to know, who is this baby? So the king say, okay, since you don't want to go lay with your wife, come to find out why you not enjoying your wife right now while they're out there fighting. He says, I can't. I need to be with my men. Yeah. So the king said, okay, go back into the war and fight. So he tells them that he's sending this husband back into fighting, but when he comes, put him at the front and you guys pull back. Okay? This is what my mother always say. When you fight for somebody and they don't want to be there or whatever, they go sit in the car, you go sit in the car too. Don't you sitting there fighting for them and they sitting there don't want to. You know what I'm saying? So the guy goes back into the war and they put him right front and everybody retrieved, and the husband end up dead. You guys know the story. If you don't know the story, look it up. It's in there. All these things are in our book so we can understand what's happening in this world. So anyway, this is all about a lie. This is all about a lie. So now the man, Sheba's husband, is dead. Now nobody knows. Sheba's pregnant, but nobody knows that David's the father. So he marries her or whatever. Now everything is legit. But the Lord, we're talking about karma. The Lord lets him know this baby is not going to live. So what do the king do? The king rips off his clothes, throw ash and dust all over his face, and just sit outside begging and pleading to let this child live. And the Lord said no. That would be wrong. You've done enough wrong. See, even though that the baby is innocent, the Lord did not let that child live. Yeah. They literally went looking for a dog, but not a child. That family, but was adopted into family as your sister and as your child. But you couldn't go look for that child, but you could look for a dog. Exactly. None of them ever deserved to have any child in their custody or even around them, because they do not put the best interest of the child, only of themselves to them. Children are about money. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Nicole. She lost a baby, she said May the 4th, 2024, but yet went down to file for DNA on a baby January the 10th. I don't know, Nicole. She's got 5 kids. So that would have been the 5th child. I don't know if she lost a child and got another baby or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I want a DNA test done on that baby that she filed for January the 10th compared to Naziah DNA. What do you mean compared to Naziah's DNA? Oh, you want a DNA test done on the baby. You think Shannon's baby is Naziah's baby? Well, okay. Okay. Well, there's a story in the book about that too, where 2 women had a baby. I don't know if it was a boy or girl or whatever, but both of them went to sleep, and when they woke up, one of the children was deceased, and the one that had the living baby was sleeping with her baby, and the woman, that child deceased, she took her deceased child and stuck it with the woman that was laying there. And when the woman woke up, the woman was like, "This is not my baby." And she said, "Yes, it is. Your baby died in the night you rolled over your baby or whatever." And she was like, "No, you got my baby." And they both start fighting over the baby. That's where King Solomon comes in, because he was the smartest king. But nevertheless, they went to the king because they could not agree. Like the woman was like, "No, you got my baby. Your baby dead." And she was like, "No, no, no, my baby's alive. Your baby's dead." So they went to the king, and the king says, "Okay, whose baby is it?" And both of them said, "It's mine." And the king couldn't understand how 2 women have the same child. So he said, and what makes King Solomon the smartest king, he said, "Okay, I tell you what, if y'all can't agree whose child this is, let's just cut the baby in half, and you take half of the child and you take half of the child." One woman was like, "Yeah." And then the other woman was like, "No, no, no, don't hurt the child." And the king says, "That's the real mother right there." A lot of people is saying that Shannon's baby might be Naziah's. Oh, okay. Got you. Got you, got you, got you. Wow. Okay. SP, someone said that Shannon is moving to Florida. Have anyone else heard that? Well, no, I haven't heard anything about Shannon other than, she's went on with her life. You guys, and they're going to have to think about all of this for the rest of their life. Even if they don't never even speak about it, it's going to be a cloud over this family for a long time. Annette, she can't adopt no more kids, make that money. She can't make that money no more, so she can go sit down, and just, hey, collect her money, disability, or whatever she gets, Social Security, because she's about that age. But she's not going to be making money off of kids anymore. So she's just not. She's just not. They're not going to give her no more kids. You guys ain't going to have to worry about it. So, like sometimes things happen to innocent people because of people around them. So some of the key things of what we learned today is we may not hear the truth. We may not. Always keep an open mind. Let's see what happened. I just want you guys to remember to come back on here and say, SP, you told us, like, okay, the story that he said, if we even get to hear the story, which the story is, he threw her in the river. You know, they had a dispute. Things got out of hand. It was an accident, and he threw her in the river. And yes, he's got a problem being a pedophile. And you know, he didn't touch the kids like what they're saying, but he did touch them, you know, like try to make them feel comfortable or nice or something. He didn't touch them. He's gonna say, I didn't feel like it was in a sexual way, but you know, like I would pick them up or I would offer them candy or something, but you know, he's just not gonna sit there and, you know, that's one thing about they you know, people that are guilty and they really don't want to face or say they just don't say exactly what actually happened. They just don't. They just don't. I mean, can it happen? Yeah, it can. Most likely, no. Let's see something real quick, and we're going to get off of here because I try to keep an hour, but you guys love SP. Do you know if CPS still has Shannon's children, and if so, do you think they will return them to her? I haven't talked to no one down there since I talked to the sister, Jarvis's sister. And the last time I talked to Jarvis's sister, they still had our children. You know? And I'm gonna tell you guys something, you know, like the sister could have got those kids. But she's got a life. And then you got all those kids. You got 5 kids that got problems. You know, problem. Now they come with a big check. Not a real big check, but they come with a check. Jarvis will never come on, Carla. Come on, Carla. He's never gonna tell the truth. He's not. He's just not. I think we set ourselves up so we can be like, oh God. Like we, you know. Like we have hope though. I know. I know. Nicole says, don't you find it strange you got a niece missing, your mother got the grandbaby, aka adopted child, and your first thought is to go fella? Yeah. Yeah. Let me tell you something, Nicole, and I don't know if you was here, but we were the ones that uncovered that. We was the one to find out that Shannon was at the courthouse filing for a DNA test. Actually, we was live and we were just looking up stuff, and I was like, hey, you guys, guess where Shannon was at? The morning, the next morning when Annette was allegedly supposed to be at the school, which Annette didn't go to the school until noon. I just see, I think that's strange, Nicole. If you really want to know what was strange is if your child didn't come home last night and then you dropping off all these kids at school that morning, why you didn't go in there as soon as you dropped the kids off and go in there and talk to the principal and say, hey, my child didn't come home after school. Why did you drop the kids off at school and then waited 3 hours? Because school started, 7, 8? And then you waited until 11 o'clock and then you went on to the school. and say, hey, I want to make a report. My child didn't come home. If you want to know technically, and while she was doing that, why Annette was doing that, that Shannon was at the courthouse filing for the child support. Jacqueline said, that's very strange. I would have been there first thing as soon as I realized that child was not there with the police. Exactly. She didn't call the police and say, okay, the child never did come home. She dropped the kids off at school. And remember, one or two of them, they go to the same school. Why did you not go in and talk to them? Why did you, what? Did you take Shannon to the courthouse when you was right there? Courthouse, you're at the courthouse. You would have said, I need to talk to a police officer. My child didn't. No. Y'all, I can't even make this stuff up. I can't even remember what time it was when she actually entered it. I mean, I know we had it because we looked it up, but there was no urgency in them finding Naziah. And that tells me something. What does it tell you guys? I'm going to tell you. You don't look for something that you already know where it's at. You don't look. You know, the subtleness of if something come up missing, like you will be like, okay, I lost my keys. You're like looking in the car, looking on the ground, looking in the trash, looking in the couch, looking on the floor, looking in the bathroom, looking in the bed, looking underneath the bed. You're looking for it because it's lost. But why would I look for my keys when I know where I set them and that's where they should be? If I set them there and that's where they're going to be. Jacqueline says it was like 11 or 12, I think. I can't remember what time it was. Actually, Jacqueline, I don't know. I thought it was earlier than that. I'm not for sure. So, you know, who knows? I thought it was early. I thought it was like 9 o'clock or somewhere around that time where she found those papers, you know. And, you know, the sad thing about it was when they were asking her, did she look? She was like, yeah, we looked. We did this. We did that. Well, Jarvis called her that night. She didn't answer that phone from Jarvis. Jarvis called her that night. Yeah. That's strange. If you're looking for Naziah, why would you not answer the phone, a man that you have all these kids by, and saying, hey, have you seen my niece? Hey, you know, she's missing. I mean, like if my child or my dog was missing and I could get help to look, I don't care if I'm married to you or I'm dating you. You call my phone, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be like, hey, baby, you know, Diesel's missing. Because I'll need you to have an eye out for him. Or did you hear anything? You know, you're a man, you're up and down the street, or you're over here. It's more likely when a child come up missing, any and everybody needs to know. Quickly. You'd be like, Mama, such is missing. I mean, you're gonna call anybody that can help you. I wonder, did she even make a phone call? She talking about we called her friends. There's more to that story, you guys. There's more. And there's more about Shannon. But I'm not gonna get into it today. I'm gonna get off of here. Our time been more than an hour, almost an hour and 30 minutes. Nicole, That don't make no sense to me because first of all, they checked that area, stuck in a ball. It was January. It was frozen. That would preserve her body. They would have definitely found her. Right. You're right. I believe they would have found her. I don't think I don't know, you know, like, you know. And then you got to remember all the women that Jarvis had. He went over here, got this girl's car, you know. Nazia's glasses was in the car. That girl wasn't going to lie. Matter of fact, that would have been their best witness because she was a little mad. She was like, I cheated too. Girl, I don't know why you think that y'all had this monogamous relationship. You know, you letting them use cars and stuff, and you know, she was like, I thought he was a good dad. You know, he said he needed the car so he can go pick up his son. So we ain't even heard about no son being somewhere in the age of, 5 and 10. You know, I'm going to tell y'all, I mean, we did find out a lot of information, but there is so much more information that was out there. Like, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, and I'm just going to be truthful with you. His live-in girlfriend that he allegedly took Nazia to the house with the main female. Now, nowadays, people have poly relationships and stuff, and they just don't give a damn. You know. They just be in a relationship and they be like, well, he pays half the bills and I got a kid by him and da 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 and wood. I mean, I'ma say this. I'ma say this. These guys, they come off really nice. They will pay your bills or pay a bill, pay some of the bills, or they will try. They call bad boys. But I'm gonna tell you, if you really pay attention, you know what you got. You know. I'm not gonna compare, but you know how some women be very promiscuous, and they can have relations with 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Guys are the same way. They can have relations with 2, 3, 4, 5 people. It doesn't matter. They love the attention. They don't care what they look like. If you like me, then it's on. If you like me and let me know that you looking at me, I'ma shoot my shot, it's on. That's how Jarvis is. You looking at me, smiling at me, and I can get in there, I'm gonna get in there. Hype me up. And everybody could say, Jarvis was not bad looking out. He just wasn't my cup of tea, but he just wasn't bad looking. And the women knew that, You get a tall, light-skinned brother, good hair. That's what women always say. I want my baby to have good hair, light skin, green, gray eyes, Then you end up with a monster. And then, when guys know that they are nice looking, they come with a lot of toxic problems. Now, she didn't live here, so correct me if I'm wrong. She probably would have had to stay the night, right? She did live there. What do you mean? They lived together. And here's the sad thing, and we're gonna get off of here, you guys. They lived, Jarvis and his girlfriend lived together. And I'm gonna say this, that nobody really said anything about his number one main female. Okay? No one really said a lot about her. But I think that's the nail in the coffin. Okay? So we can assume about the children that we did know. But she was a nurse. She worked in the medical field. I don't know if she's a nurse. I think she was a nurse. I think she was pulling 12-hour shifts. And she was not at home at nights, a lot of the nights. But anyway, nevertheless, like I said, I dated somebody that had those traits, just like Jarvis. And I was so uncomfortable. I couldn't keep my kids with them. They were always, every time you turn around, you could tell that they infatuated with, it's just weird. They want to cheat. And it just goes on and on and on. And I'm telling you, you get nothing but a big problem. That's what you end up with. You end up with a big problem. Anyway, I don't miss the person whatsoever. I just don't. It was the biggest headache I ever had. It just stayed constantly. Like, what's next? What's next? What's next? Somebody said this. Somebody said that. You know what I'm saying? Just so uncomfortable. It was just so uncomfortable that I was like, you know what? Yeah, you might look good, but and the intimacy is going to be great, of course. Exactly, Nicole. No peace. You get no peace. And you don't sit around and wait for something to happen. You just know that anything, any interaction, any entertainment that you do, like if you guys go somewhere, or you can even go to a restaurant and go to the bathroom, they doing something. It's like they asphyxiated on making you be a clown. And like you think you hot? You ain't that hot, because I could pull this, pull that. They don't care how many people they pull. They just sit there and smile and grin. And you just steady like, you trying to keep the relationship together? Oh, no. You got something that you need to throw back. I'm just being honest with you. And we all probably been in a relationship like that. I don't know. I can't say all of us, but you guys understand what I'm saying. Like I said, I'm not going to get all into details of who and what, but I've seen it for myself. Now, every situation is different, but I've seen it for myself. And I'm telling you, exactly, Nicole said it, no peace. You get no peace. You always going to be thinking like, I mean, you're not going to sit there and think, is he cheating on me and all this other stuff? You're thinking the next day, nothing's going on. You going to work, they going to work or whatever. And, y'all go out to eat, you go to the movies and sit around and, and then, phone ring, or they got to go take care of something. Every time they get a chance, they doing something. They ain't got no business. Girl. Oh my God. Don't tell me Jarvis is the only one out there. Now, they may not be no pedophile, but you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of the times, it's just not even worth it. Some people think it is worth it until they find out. Then they say, oh, he did this to me. He did that. Girl, he had 4 women. He was dating my best friend. He was dating my neighbor. He was dating my child. Him and my daughter slept together. You know what? Let me say this. Do not come for me acting like there was not no red flags. You seen them, do something about it, and keep them moving. And sometimes, yeah, they're very suave. And, when you're young or younger, and it happens because you don't be around people like this. Like, I mean, it happens to the best of us. But, like I said, what Jarvis gonna tell us now? You think he's gonna, you think he's gonna tell us something new? You guys think Jarvis is gonna tell us something new? He is not. He's not. When you've been around these people like this before and you've seen how they move, they will lie. Even when they caught, they will still lie. Look at Corey. Look at Corey. Corey's in jail for the disappearance of Cody. And he's standing on that this child just came up missing in the middle of the night in the snow, and there's no tracks but he's just gone. And he's standing on it. Even if he comes back and say, I'm guilty. And they say, okay, but he already went to trial and they found him guilty. So had he not went to trial and he said, okay, I'm guilty, they're going to say, okay, what happened? He wouldn't have told us what happened. He would have told us something out the ordinary, like, in all reality, yeah, I went out, came back, the child was gone. I was scared to say something, so I didn't. I thought somebody that I knew had him, so I was waiting around. Time came, time passed, and 3 months went by, and I said, oh my goodness, like, I've been looking and looking and looking and looking and looking. I mean, that's all he has to say. It doesn't have to make sense. It does not have to be real. That's his story, and he's sticking to it. And they say, okay, we agree. You're going to get 35 years to life. Whatever he told them, they already agreed on it, whether it makes sense or not. And it's going to make it seem like it was an accident. He's going to make it seem like it was an accident. That's the only thing he can really say with the evidence that they have. It was an accident. What about the clothes and the shoes and everything? I just got rid of everything. But he's going to have to say it was an accident. So when you guys hear that, it was an accident. He didn't intentionally do it. I mean, I didn't wake up that morning and went to court. And then I asked the judge, I need to take care of some stuff. And the judge says, okay, I'm not going to lock you up right now. Go take care of what you need to take care of, and then you can come back. And he left, FaceTime her, she FaceTime him, whatever, text or whatever. Okay, after school, I see you. He was like, shoot, I got to get rid of this baby because I'm going to do this a whole year of time. Whatever. She's trying to say this baby is mine. This baby come out. Whew. That's going to be held over my head. My baby's mama of 4 kids, now her niece is pregnant by me, and she only 13. That's 5 years. The baby have to be in kindergarten by the time I can say it's my child. Or I can never tell that. I can never tell nobody it's my child. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to tell you something. It's sad. It is so sad. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm going to get off of here. You guys be peace, be happy, and be nice to everybody. We'll talk again Wednesday, you guys. I'll be waiting on a phone call up from this attorney, but we'll talk Wednesday. Because March the 12th gonna come by so fast. We're already February the 23rd, and Wednesday be the 25th, and then the 28th, and then we'll be in the March. The 25th, the 27th, and then we'll be in the March. Wow. All right. I'll see you guys next time.